Welcome to Yaka Digital Network. In 1962, the newly independent Uganda stretched across a massive landscape, from the dense, fertile farmlands of the central region to the sweeping northern plains. But a geographical border is very different from a unified nation. Inside those new lines, the map was highly fragmented, containing ancient traditional kingdoms and dozens of distinct ethnic groups that had never shared a single national identity. Turning this patchwork into a functioning state required a process called nation building. It meant establishing administrative systems that actually worked, fostering economic growth across every region, and creating a sense of shared belonging. Solving this fragmentation required a dual effort: high-level policy design from the political elite and practical implementation from the citizens themselves. Independence provided the legal recognition of a country, but its actual survival was forged through the daily labor of stabilizing the nation from both the capital and the village. This work began with the drafting of constitutions and the establishment of the three arms of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, to create a functional center. Benedicto Kiwanuka led this transition as the first chief minister. He prioritized competitive party politics and constitutionalism, attempting to set clear legal rules for the new government to follow. Apollo Milton Obote, the first prime minister, took a different approach by centralizing government power. He focused on creating a unitary state structure to bind the regional factions together, though this centralization would later fuel intense political divisions. At the same time, leaders had to integrate Uganda's heritage into a modern republic. Sir Edward Mutesa II occupied a complex space as both the Kabaka of Buganda and the first president, attempting to bridge the gap between traditional kingship and republican rule. During periods of extreme political turbulence, others stepped in to try and repair these institutions. After the fall of Idi Amin, Yusuf Lule briefly took the presidency, focusing his efforts on restoring democratic principles and organizational order. While these leaders designed the administrative blueprint of the state, those designs could only survive if they were supported by strong social and economic pillars. This matrix shows the four pillars that hold a nation together: politics, economics, social services, and security. While politicians handled the laws, other institutions were needed to forge a shared identity. Makerere University became a central hub for this shared identity. By bringing students together from across the region, it provided the intellectual framework for a new Ugandan state and trained the professionals who would staff the civil service. Religious leaders added a moral dimension to nation building. Archbishop Yanani Luwum advocated for human rights and shared dignity, speaking out against state violence and fostering a sense of unity that looked past tribal or political alignments. Outside the capital, women's movements focused on the grassroots level. Organizations like the National Council of Women built national unity by addressing community health, nutrition, and education in villages across the country. These social unifiers bridged the gap between official policy and the actual daily lives of citizens, making the concept of Ugandanness something people experienced in their own communities. A nation also requires economic integration, a physical and financial reliance that forces different regions to cooperate. Large-scale infrastructure projects like the National Energy Grid and the Owen Falls Dam physically connected the country. By linking the north to the south and east to the west, these pioneers reduced the isolation that often fueled regional conflict. On a smaller scale, millions of farmers harvesting coffee, tea, and cotton integrated Uganda into the global economy. As businesses expanded across regional lines, more people gained a vested interest in national peace and stability. However, nation building can be undone. Sectarian rhetoric, the diversion of national resources, and military interference in politics act as destructive forces that tear these foundations apart. We see this clearly when the military is used for domestic political suppression rather than national defense. Under leaders like Idi Amin, military interference overrode civilian institutions, fracturing the very pillars the nation was built upon. Economic integration binds a country together through shared prosperity, whereas these destructive forces exploit the tools of the state for personal gain. To evaluate any leader's impact, we have to look at the systems they left behind. A true contribution to nation building outlives the person who created it. This is why the civil service is so vital. Even when the political leadership at the top collapsed, career bureaucrats kept schools open, hospitals running, and taxes collected, maintaining the visibility of the state through years of instability. You can see this in your own community. The local officials resolving disputes, the nurses running health centers, and the teachers in your classrooms are the ones maintaining the micro-foundations of the nation today. Look at the daily actions in your own village and perform a nation-building audit. Ask yourself, are these actions strengthening the systems we all rely on, or are they weakening them? A nation's history is found less in the names of its leaders and more in the persistence of the systems they left behind. Thanks for learning with Yaka Digital Network. Visit our website to continue your journey through Uganda's history.